Worst I've seen is a picture of Hiroshima. Hiroshima before and after. And literally, when I was walking through Taro, when we went through Kesanuma, Rikuzen Takada, it might have been worse than Rikuzen Takada, especially. It looked worse than Hiroshima, because Hiroshima, I think, had more buildings standing after atomic bomb. So it's been 11 years since the big tsunami, earthquake, nuclear meltdown happened in Japan, and James and I are going to recap how it went, how it was, and you can see how, my missions and my desire to help the people up in Japan, how it came about. So it'll be an interesting podcast. Check it out, man. Right on.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Yamatodamashii podcast. A bit of a somber note today, but I think this is such a cool podcast that we're going to talk about. Today is officially 11 years since the tsunami in Japan. And Enson, you had a really, really personal involvement in terms of the response that you gave. And let's go from the beginning of when the news first broke. So where were you when you heard about the earthquake that's triggered the tsunami?
I was at home, and Japan has a lot of earthquakes. So when this one hit, it started shaking, and it's kind of like in Japan, it's kind of like when it starts shaking, you kind of wait about, knowing that's going to probably end in like 5 seconds. It's like, oh, earthquake. And this one was like, I was like, oh, earthquake. And it's like after 5 seconds, it kept going, and in fact, it intensified. So it's like, oh shit, earthquake. Whoa, still going. Whoa. And I was like kind of getting a little concerned, wondering, if the house falls or the roof falls in. I mean, how is it going to be? So it's kind of watching it shake. And then what really freaked me out was in my hallway, I have a lot of pictures up. The hallways started falling. The laundry the laundry that holds the towels fell over. I had actually canned goods fall in the cupboard. So that's when I knew, holy shit, this is unreal. And I was sitting down, and it was like, whoa, this is still going. And then when I looked outside, you could almost see the ground kind of going like that. It was wild, man. I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. And in Japan, whenever there's an earthquake, there's always on the TV, there's no matter what program it is, like a little thing that's added in that gives you where the tsunami was, what the power was, everything. So I instantly turned on the TV to watch that, and it was crazy because it had it where it was, and it was like freaking, I don't know, it was like they said at the beginning it said it was like an 8.9 or something. I think it was actually a 9.0. And then below that, the TVs all interrupted the stations, and it was a tsunami warning. And a lot of times, whenever there's a big earthquake, they have that, tsunami warnings. And it has where they have it all in red, where it's going to have a tsunami. And a lot of times it was like like even like Hawaii, when they have tsunami warning, it's like, it's like a 3 foot, the water came up like 3 feet or a couple inches, So I wasn't that concerned. But it was interesting because the whole coast of Japan was all red. And I was like, whoa, that whole coast is being tsunami warning now. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And I kept watching the TV. And then next thing you know, they had footage of waves going into the land. And it didn't look that, because they didn't show any people getting swept out, it didn't look that bad. Mm-hmm. But what was interesting was they have these little like greenhouses in Japan, and when you watch the video on TV, it looked like it was like little ones about ankle high, or knee high, and the waves are just going over it. And when I realized that was the ones that are actually like maybe like 10 to 12 feet high, and the way the waves are just covering it and taking it out, it was like, holy shit, that's crazy. And then you see cars getting taken out and everything, but Japan never showed any bodies and any people getting taken out. So it was like, whoa, destruction, but we didn't think it was that bad until we started getting the news on, how bad the tsunami actually was and how much people were actually dying in it.
Yeah, I think it was like 19,000 that died, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot missing too. Yeah.
Yeah. So you hear the news. I know. Well, and your fans will know that you obviously went out and went and visited survivors. But what was the moment like where you made that decision and said, "I'm gonna go out there"?
Well, it's real interesting because when we first found out how bad it was, I got a call from a friend that was in the military. And the U.S. military gets a lot of information before anyone. So what they told, one of my friends called me and told me that, Enson, get out of Tokyo. He said that the wind direction is going into Tokyo. There was a meltdown on one of the nuclear plants, and there's going to be high radiation coming into Tokyo. So I'm in Saitama, which is north of Tokyo. So to go to Tokyo, it comes right through Saitama. I was actually going to go to one of my gyms in Kyoto down south a week later. And I thought, I'll push it up a week and just go early. So I jumped in my Hummer, drove down to Kyoto, drove down to Kyoto, to get away. And as I'm driving down to Kyoto, I'm getting calls from my parents because they're seeing all the news on how bad it is. And she's telling me to get out of Japan. Leave Japan. I'll pay your ticket. Get out of Japan. And I was really resistant. I said, I consider Japan my home, and I'm not about to leave on the first sign of disaster. Mm-hmm. If anything, I want to stay here and see what I can do, if there's anything I can do. And she goes, no, get out. Then she actually compromised with me and told me, how about you fly to Okinawa? And we'll pay your full paid trip. We'll just stay in Okinawa. And it was actually appealing to me because I was like, whoa, freaking full paid vacation in Okinawa. And Okinawa is beautiful. I think the beaches are nicer than Hawaii, the Okinawan beaches.
Wow.
I was like, oh, trip to Okinawa. And I was in a dilemma where I didn't think it was necessary, but to keep my parents in a feeling of comfort, that was important. So I actually was pondering on the whole thing, and the ironic thing was, I had a gangster event I was supposed to do security for, like the following weekend. So I called them, and I asked them that is a gangster event still going on? Wondering if it's actually going on. They said, the guy told me, nope, it's canceled. He said all the big promoter guys are all headed up to the north. And it kind of hit me. I was like, wow. They're driving up towards the danger to see if they can help people. And I'm driving away, running away from it. And for me as a man, it kind of pierced me in my heart. Like, wow, what kind of man are you? Yeah, so that was where I decided to go up. And because my parents were all worried, I didn't tell them. So the next day, it was actually a blessing in disguise that I went to Kyoto, because Kyoto was so far down north. People weren't panicking as much. So in Tokyo, there was nothing on the shelves anymore.
Right.
So all canned goods and non-perishable products is what they need. Like ramen, canned fruits, that kind of stuff. Of course, basic necessities, women tampons, soap, anything, laundry detergent, that kind of stuff. So I went to a big supermarket in Kyoto. I had a Hummer, so I filled my Hummer with goods. Oh, wow. And I without telling my parents, I decided to drive up. It was really challenging driving up because there were so much cracks in the highways. Yeah. We couldn't stay on the highway the whole time. Also, gasoline was a problem because a lot of gasoline stations were not giving. You only had or allotted like a certain amount of gasoline. Mm-hmm. So I had to really make the trek up. Filled my gas in Kyoto. Kyoto wasn't having a problem like that. Filled my gas in Kyoto, hit it out. We had to get off the highway, get back on the highway, get off the highway. And all the cars out there were really no regular cars out there. It was army and police. So I was like one of the only normal cars out there. It was I think it was about a week after the tsunami hit.
Wow. So it was like straight away.
Straight away. So when I got up there and I got to this town called Kodiyama, because my big problem was I wasn't planning to be a humanitarian or save people. I was thinking of the people I knew. And I was concerned to see how they were doing and if I could help with cleanup or anything. So I used to live in Koriyama for 4 years when I first went to Japan. It's in Fukushima. It's a little bit south of Fukushima. So I went there. I found some of my friends up there. And they told me, they took me to their house. This house, everything, like the refrigerator fell over. That's how bad the shakes was. So he was okay. His house was a little, his apartment was a little, a lot of damage, but he said they're okay. Everything's okay. So I drove around the town and there were like buildings that literally collapsed. I mean, if you saw it when I was feeding the cat, that was in Fukushima and Koriyama too. And I was saying, okay, they're okay. And I thought, okay, that was my main objective, to see if I could help them. I know nobody up north, so I didn't think driving more up north wouldn't really matter. But I got a call from one of the kickboxing girls, this girl Atsuko, and she called me and said, I have a friend up north, and I can't get in touch with him, and I'm worried about him. So I said, oh shit! I figured, I'm up north. I'll just go check him out. So I said, can you give me his address? So she gave me the address. I already told her I'm going to go up. I put it in my navigation, and it was 6 hours more up north. So I was like, holy shit, it's so much further. So I said, I promised her I want to do it. So I said, okay, I'll go. So I drove up north, and I drove off, and I stopped in Sendai, which is in Miyagi-Ken, and it was affected by the earthquake a lot. Went to the coast, and oh my god, everything was flattened. So like, holy shit, what am I driving into? So I figured, okay, I'll keep going up north. So I went up north to that town where the guy lived. And when I went up to the town, it was funny because I started driving to the coast to find out, because that's the address. He lived right on the water side. So that it was about driving to the coast and finding him. And then as I was driving, it was kind of, the town is called Miyako. But as I'm driving to the town, I'm thinking, shit, everything's perfect. It doesn't seem like anything. And, tsunamis are really incredible because it's not like an earthquake. As you get to the epicenter, damage gets worse. There's no damage. And as soon as I made a turn, everything was gone, like an atomic bomb hit. I went to the Hiroshima exhibit, and they showed a picture of where the atomic bomb hit. It literally looked like an atomic bomb hit. Everything was flattened. It was rubble, wood. It was like debris. Unbelievable. And when I drove there were still bodies around. There were bodies on trees. There were bodies on, like the gasoline stand tops. It was on top of that, as that high up.
Wow. And
the smell was, you want to say like rotten fish mixed with a real weird scent. And there were tons of army trucks. And all the army trucks were doing was making roads in the rubble and making sure they can bring bodies to a little lot that people would come and identify. And there were like cars that had painting on it. And it was like, what day they checked the car, and there was an X or a circle where either no bodies or they found the body.
Shit.
Yeah, so it was incredible because when I went up, there was no patrol on blockage and where you can go. You could go anywhere. So I was literally, I think in the video shows that the documentary that we had, the Yamatodamashii Diaries, it shows that I'm walking in a hospital. There was nobody blocking off. There was no red tape. You could walk anywhere, and walk into hospitals, walk into ballrooms, wedding rooms, checking it out. It was incredible. And I moved around to different towns, checking the devastation. There was a town that they said that bodies were stuck in the dam where they open and close the water to let it in. So there was a
Whoa.
tons of bodies just accumulated in there. So I don't know what intrigued me, but I mean, I wanted to see if it was still there, and so I drove to that town, and that's the one I think in the video I was standing on a real high building, and I was thinking, look at this, nothing. And I even looked down at a 3-story building, and even the top of that building was like debris. But lucky for me, I mean, the being traumatized, seeing all the bodies stuck in the dam would have been bad. So lucky for me, they already had cleaned that out. And so that's how it started. And I went to visit her friend.
You found the friend
Hatake
there.
Yamasa. Yeah, I got to see him, and my whole mission wasn't to be a humanitarian; it was to help him. So he came and he told me, "Okay, we're fine." I said, "What about cleanup?" He goes, "No, don't worry, we're fine." He said, "But there are people that need what you brought." So he told me, "I'll take you to one of the evacuation centers." So he took me to the evacuation center. We weren't allowed to go inside, but there was a drop-off area for goods across the building. So we went and dropped it off, unloaded everything in like 5 minutes, and it was like, okay, thank you. And I was standing there like, I don't know. I just felt like I kind of wanted to see the people's smiles, or see the gratitude in the people. I kind of wanted to make correspondence with them. So we got in the car, and I looked at him, and I said, man, that's it. I said, wow. I said, I can't meet the people. He goes, yeah, they're not allowing people in, because they said a lot of people were coming in and trying to take advantage of the people and upselling things. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That is
So
mental.
they wanted to regulate what kind of people can go in. Only family members can go in. And he said, do you want to meet the people? I said, I mean, I'm all the way up here. I would love to meet the people and see what they need. So he told me a big portion of his family is in another evacuation center at a high school. And he said, if you want, I'll bring you there. So I went there, got to go there, went in there, met the people. And the Japanese people are interesting people, because I walked around and I kind of wanted to find out what they needed.
Mhm.
So I'd walk around and ask them, is there anything I can get for you? So when I walked around, and Japanese people are real proud people, yeah. So they would tell me, "Daijobu." Where Daijobu is, I'm okay. I'm okay.
We're okay. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, they're not Daijobu, because they're sitting with whatever they ran out of the house with, and they're living in cardboard boxes. Cardboard, like when you're a kid, you make a house with the cardboard boxes.
Mhm.
That's what they're living in. The whole gymnasium is all cardboard boxes.
Yeah.
And it was like they didn't open up to me. So what I did was I just drove. It was funny because of the closest big town that had a lot of products or supplies was 3 hours away. So I drove 3 hours away, got a hotel there, spent the night, woke up in the morning, filled my Hummer again with goods, what I thought they wanted, just guessing because they wouldn't tell me. Drove back into town the next day and went there and just brought everything to them. And we made it where we had everybody, put it on a table. Everybody would line up and they would take what they want.
Mm.
And it was crazy because everyone got up, lined up, and they took it. They were super appreciative. And then even still then, I kind of walked around and said, is there anything else I can bring? They were, no, we're okay. Thank you for what you brought. And I was like, fuck, they're not okay. So I did the same thing, went back all the way into the town and then bought a whole bunch of products, went back in again, did the same thing for like 3 days. Finally, on the third day before I left, one of the old ladies came up to me and said, I need shoes. She was barefooted. I said, oh, you don't have shoes? She goes, yes, I need shoes. I said, what size? She told me her size, and another lady came and said, I need shoes too. And they all started crowding on me. And I think it shows it on the video. It's kind of like, wow, they're actually telling me what they want. This is super cool, man. So they started telling me what they wanted. One guy, which was not allowed, wanted wine, and it wasn't allowed. But I snuck wine to him. There's another person that wanted cigarettes, and I don't smoke. I believe that smoking is so bad for your health. And I was thinking, yeah, should I promote smoking? Should I buy them? And I thought, you know what? Who gives a shit right now? They're lost everything. They're in such dire need of just support or stress relief. I said, who am I to say, oh, it's not good for your health? I'm not to buy you cigarettes. So I bought packs of cigarettes. I didn't realize how expensive cigarettes were,
Yeah,
but yeah, I
yeah.
bought cigarettes. And so the next 5 trips was all about, bringing them, the supplies they needed. And it was crazy because when, the video that was made, that was like a month later. And that's when Daniel Herbertson came up with me and he
Mm,
wanted to document it. And we went to it. And then it was crazy. It hit me real hard when an old lady came up to me and I bought her shoes. I passed her over the shoes and she held it to her chest and started tearing up. And she
mm,
looked at the what's his name, Daniel. She looked at Daniel and she goes, I needed these shoes. You see this shirt I have on? This is from Enson. You see this pants I have on? This is from Enson. The socks I have is from Enson. And she started tearing up, almost ready to cry. And they're real proud people, so she didn't want to cry. And she turned around and ran back to her cardboard box. And I don't know. When I was growing up, I always thought I believed that the true happiness in life is the happiness of giving, not receiving. It's unfortunate that when you're little, you're taught that true happiness in life is about getting presents. So your birthday, you receive presents, yeah.
hmm
But what I realized through my lifetime is that true happiness in life is actually giving, not receiving.
Yeah.
But I always thought that giving to people giving to people you love, is the only way to get the true happiness. But at that moment, I realized that holy shit, the warmth I had in my heart, the happiness I had, it was like, wow, it's not about just giving people you love or even you can
hmm
give strangers and see their gratitude. And it's like, people say, wow, you went and spent all that money and you didn't get anything of it. And I'm like, I'm on my 61st mission now,
Yeah.
continuously. And I get so much out of it. I think the gratitude and the warmth in my heart that I get, like money can't buy. On one note, I spent thousands and thousands of dollars doing that.
I was gonna ask, like, do you have a rough idea of how much you probably spent?
Probably about altogether in altogether in the beginning. Well, say altogether up until now, probably about $40,000.
Wow.
But see, the thing with that is, I had a friend, this guy Milton. He called me in Hawaii, from Hawaii, and he said, "Hey, what do you need?" And I was like, "Whoa!" And he told me before I could say anything, he goes, "Cash is king." Cash, that was his thing. Cash is king. And I was like, "Whoa!" He goes, "Give me your bank account details." I think he wired to me $30,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So I started. I'm paying him back on that still today. But yeah, I mean, without his help, I probably wouldn't have been able to do as much as I did. So thanks to Milton, and then, my friend Darren Suzuki, he kind of organized it. He came.
No.
He was the one that got banged from the Yakuza. Milton's
Yeah.
actually good friends with Darren, and
Right.
Darren, like, kind of, I guess Milton might have called Darren, and they kind of talked about it. And Milton called me and asked me that. So that was incredible help. Of course,
Yeah.
he it helped out for what I could do. So there's a lot of celebrities in Japan that went up first 2 weeks or something, just for the publicity
Yeah.
and take pictures and post all that. I'm helping the North. They all fizzed out within a year.
Right.
I mean, what year is it now? It's the 11th year or
2022.
12th
Yeah.
year now.
11 years.
I'm still doing it. I'm still doing it
Mhm.
today. Of course, COVID restricted where and what I can do. The fact that they took all the people out of temporary housing and put them back in their homes that still has radiation, I lost touch of a lot of people.
Mhm.
But today it still goes on. I mean, right now the biggest thing I can do now is take care of an orphanage that I've been doing for 8 years now. So buy shoes for the orphanage every single year. And the kids, they grow. So every time before we go, we get the sizes of all the kids, the colors they want, and we find what they want. So, that was amazing though for me. I mean, I got so much out of it to see the women tearing up and thanking me. I mean, there's in the video too. It's like when there's one day that I realized that there was a fishing town and all the boats and all the docks are devastated. So they're
Mm.
into like eating sashi, raw fish, So I actually drove into the town and I arranged where they had how many people were there? I don't know how much it was. It was probably about 40 to 50 plates of raw fish.
Yeah, and you got all the sashimi.
So I went and did that, and I got that to them, and it was crazy because they all lined up, and you could see that joy in them that they're getting fresh fish. And before I left, they all started applauding me, and I was like, "Holy crap, this is unreal!"
Yeah.
I mean, that I'm making a difference in these people's lives, and I vouched to them I'm coming back next week. So I actually, although it was like an 8-hour or 9-hour drive away from my home, I frequented there. I frequented there at least, about two times a month. Went up there to help them and help out.
That's so good. I think I love that there was that little documentary, and we'll put the link in the description. But Yamatodamashii Diaries, really, it's so good that actually exists, right? Because now people might not even be aware of how much work you did out there, and it's just at least there's a little snapshot, just a little snippet, just to sort of show people, that's what 15 minutes of footage, but the amount of hours you spent like going there, I think it's so good that there's at least something that's captured of that time period. But yeah, I mean, one of the things my wife asked me this actually, she was like, how do you manage to stay so strong when you're around so many people and you've got to put that brave face on? Like, what is it that keeps you going?
No, there were honestly, it wasn't captured on video. I mean, there might have been shots that he interviewed me that you could see it happening, but I've actually, after leaving the areas, I think this might have also happened when Daniel wasn't with me. But it's just a traumatizing experience to see people's lives totally destroyed within a moment.
Yeah.
And I've had times where I've cried on the way home. And I had to regroup, and I knew that when I see them, I channel strength to them. So I knew I had to, I mean, I'm driving back to the hotel that I stayed in. It was 3 hours away. I had 3 hours back out there. I might have cried on the way back and, kind of gathered myself, got ready. And then, the joy of thinking that, oh, man, I want to bring this guy wine today. He's going to be super happy. I'm going to sneak it in,
Yeah.
That kind of stuff just overwhelmed. And it's funny because after I'm done and they thank me, you see them crying, and it's like, for some reason after it kind of hits you a lot, like, holy shit, man. And you start wondering, like, what is life all about, man? I mean, how can something like this happen to these people? What's real interesting is Miyako, that town, was devastated by the earthquake about 100 years ago. I mean, a tsunami, I mean. Yeah, so that town was actually wiped out before 100 years ago. The whole town, like it was wiped out. And what happened was they had this great idea that they were going to build a break wall. So they built a wall that was eyesores about 30 feet high that surrounded the town. So there was like that big, beautiful wall that would protect their city. So when the tsunami warnings came out, there was numerous people that ran out to the break wall to watch because they were so confident the break wall would protect them. And that tsunami, when it hit the break wall, went right over it. I think if you Google it, I think there's some footage on that. And you see people realizing that the break wall is not going to stop it, and they start running. They start trying to run for safety, and you can't outrun a wave. Yeah. So it was incredible. And the crazy thing too is when we started walking through, trying to see if there's more stuff we can help. We walked through rubble. I walked through a lot of rubble, and it hits you really hard when you see pictures of children. They get full, like, family albums are still in the rubble. And I think it shows it in the video. To pick up the pictures, and it's just amazing to think that. I wonder if these people made it. I wonder if these pictures. I wonder if they made it, because the tsunami hit at I think like 5 in the afternoon, and it's like, that's like when everyone's coming home for dinner.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just like,
so it's crazy, man. There was a hotel that all up to the 4th floor was seaweed. So it's like, wow, even these people on the fourth floor. There was a hospital that got overwhelmed by the tsunami all the way to the fifth floor or fourth or I forget. I said it on the video, but fourth or fifth floor. But you know, it's crazy, man. If you look off on the coastline, standing on that fifth floor and thinking they're telling you a tsunami's coming, I would bet my whole life that I'm safe here. It's so high up that it's like, nah, it's not going to reach here. So, I mean, I feel like if I was in that town, I probably would have died because I really thought that it would be okay.
Take it lightly. Yeah.
I talked to a lot of people too, and there were stories of mothers that told me that their daughter was trying to run away in a car, and the tsunami picked up the car and started sweeping her out, and they just had to watch her just get swept out to sea. Never saw her again, you know.
That's rough.
I mean, some of the stories you hear is like, holy crap, you know, these people are really strong people, and you think that I really wouldn't know what I would do if I went through that, you know. So, you know, I can't do much to bring the daughter back, but what I can do is try and help them in what they're going through now and try and ease the pain, you know. Of course, financially, it's hard. Some people ran out without their shoes. So that was the biggest part of my mission. Then the other part of my mission was going into the zone. I actually was just doing runs up north to bring supplies, and when I met with this one guy, he was a construction worker that goes into the zone to build, you know, try and repair stuff for them. And you're talking about they had a 3-mile radius where they were blocking off anybody from entering. So 3 miles within the actual nuclear plant.
Yeah.
So we got a car. He got us a driver. We had to fake IDs. So I had a fake ID and I had to pretend who that was. I was him. And we went in and showed our IDs, and we had to sneak in. So we got in, and my whole thing was, man, I told the guy, I had a Geiger counter with me and a dosimeter. So I looked up radiation about how much we can absorb. I know you can't absorb more than 60,000 microsieverts in a year, or your blood chemistry will change, which will start causing leukemia and cancer. So I had a Geiger counter and a dosimeter. The Geiger counter records what you're actually in. The dosimeter is according what you're actually absorbing throughout the whole time. So it's crazy because the Geiger counter, I would go up and I kept looking at both, and I instructed the driver to drive to the plant. And I was watching the dosimeter, and it wasn't going up that high. I mean, at one point in the I guess, you know, in the slopes, the bottom, the radiation accumulates. At one point, you know, the dosimeter, if you're standing in a radiation town, in about an hour, it'll go up 0.1 microsievert. That dosimeter at that one point where we're in a accumulated area where the radiation is accumulated was moving like a stopwatch.
Whoa. And
I even showed the driver, and he looked at me like, holy shit. I don't want to see. He literally told me, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
So we're all dressed up in radioactive suit, the white ones that they have.
Right.
And I instructed him to drive to the plant, and I told him, don't worry, I'll be watching the dosimeter, and or the Geiger counter, that's explaining what radiation we're in at the moment. Yeah. So I told him, don't worry, I'll get you. If it goes up too high, I'll let you know. Before I knew it, dude, we're at the plant. And you know all the pictures of that light blue nuclear plant, and the one that blew up had like kind of wood frame. It's like a real instinctive picture that people who watch the news about the nuclear plant, that's the image that, you know, you'll never forget. And he told me, I told him, we're here. And he said, yeah. And I looked up, I saw those 4 light blue nuclear plants, and I saw that one on the news all the time with all the wood particles on it. And I was like, holy shit, we're here.
Yeah. And
then stupid me wanted to go out and, you know, get some pictures and document it. And before I was going to get out, he said, no, we got to go. We got to go. He was panicking. And he said, let's go. And before I even could get out, he started driving away. And And what I found out later was it was lucky that we had the wind direction was going the opposite way, or that at that point right there the radiation was super high, so we could have been really hit bad to a point where even being there for a couple minutes would have really affected our health. So we got out of there, and we went there. I got a whole bunch of radiation suits and gas masks at my house now, because when we went to the when we got in the plant, they handed out free to people who are in there to help. So I just grabbed some extras because you never know when it's going to actually go down to Tokyo again. So I grabbed a whole bunch extra, and they didn't care. They didn't care what you grabbed. If you needed more for people, they allowed you to grab. I got all that at home, all the gas masks and all the radiation suits.
That's crazy.
And yeah, so there's not much we could do up there. It was like the more the professionals will do anything. If us, we couldn't do it. I talked to a kid that was up there getting paid like a shitload of money to be up there per day. But these kids are just coming into radiation and working in radiation because it was good money, not really concerned about their health. Yeah, it was really bad.
Yeah.
So we got out of there, and then I went in another. Then what happened was I realized that there's not much I can do in the radiation zone.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to help a dog sanctuary that we got word that they needed help. So we went and bought dog food. Me and Darren came up to Japan. We bought a whole shitload of dog food. We brought it to them. And then the lady that was working that place told me that they're going to be going into the zone to rescue dogs or feed dogs. So I said, oh, shit, I want to go in too. So we went in. I bought a whole shitload of food, mixed like 3 buckets of food. So we'd go out and find dogs. We couldn't bring them out. We'd find dogs, and we'd dump the food on the road so they can come and eat. And it was, what was real amazing? It was like a month after the whole thing hit.
Yeah.
But these dogs that craved human love were totally afraid of us. They all
Really?
yeah, it's funny because the dogs will just fall back to their primary, their instincts. Yeah. So they started running in packs. They started killing off the weak, totally like a wolf pack.
Wow.
They had territories where this dog was a leader of this territory with his group. So we'd go there and I'd dump food on them, and you can tell they're hungry because a lot of them are skinny. They would come out for the food. And if I try to pet them, they would like shy away. Yeah, it was unreal, man. Some puppies too. It's like, wow, these dogs, I can't believe a month ago these dogs craved human love.
Yeah.
But now they're like totally afraid of humans.
Yeah, that is mental.
So it was frustrating because all we could do is feed them and leave, So we every time we saw a dog, we got out. They would run from us and wait and watch. And when they see us putting out food, they would start coming out. So we would leave, then they would start eating. So that was one of the things. And then a month later, the girl told me that they're actually allowed to bring them out. So she asked me if I want to go in to catch them. That was crazy, man. We went in there, not a single dog in sight, man.
Oh, damn.
I don't know if they died or I don't know what happened, man. And there were some cats, but cats are hard to catch. So the only way we could do the cats is we had to set traps, and they would go in and check it later. And then we drove through the towns. We drove to 7-Elevens. Japan has a reputation of being a real good country where there's no safe and people are honest. From what I hear, the Chinese mafia came into the towns and they raided all the ATMs.
No way.
Yeah, you walk into the ATMs. I don't know. I think there's a YouTube that has all that.
Really?
I put all those videos. I'll send you the links when I find them. But yeah, I walked into a 7-Eleven, dude. Everything, like the food scattered around the ground, the ice cream's all melted. There's a real stink smell. The sandwiches and bentos are all rotten. And every single 7-Eleven we went into, the ATMs were ripped open. All the cash gone, yeah. So it's unreal, man. So, so I saw that, man. I saw that stuff happening. And people were surprised at that because they thought Japan, that kind of stuff wouldn't happen. But, it did happen. And so I just continued the missions, temporary housing. We went to temporary housings. We fed, we brought supplies to the people. And I got real close to the people.
Yeah.
but because of the Olympics, they needed to spend their money there, so the government suspended all the temporary housing, put all the people back in till today into the radiation that hasn't changed since the tsunami hit. They
What?
put them right back in. Yeah, they put them right back in. So some people
Fuck.
went with their families. Some people tried to go home, but I think it was like 8 years later. Eight
Yeah.
years of the house being unoccupied is corroding. The weeds are super high, so a lot of it was unlivable.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's I mean,
Damn, man.
yeah, the government really didn't really take care of the people. So
Yeah, it's
yeah,
not good.
it's incredible. So I'm still, I vowed that I was gonna continue the missions until the people are okay, which is never ever gonna happen.
Hmm.
So I'm doing this, as much as I can. Right now, the only contact we have now is the orphanage.
Hmm.
So yeah, we're doing that every year. Every year we're buying shoes for the kids. And
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
because they have a rule where you can't go from one prefecture to another,
Mhm.
especially the orphanage, they're real strict on that. So we can't go and see the kids anymore. So that was part of my biggest joy, to see the kids' smiles,
Yeah.
seeing their new shoes. But I mean, that's a sacrifice we make now because we can't see that. But we're still just sending them all up. We're sending. I think last time we sent 5 or 6 huge boxes of all the shoes in it.
Yeah. Yeah. We did the video, right? We'll put a link
Yeah,
to it.
and I like to leave the shoes in the shoebox because that's kind of part of the experience. Opening up the box and seeing the
Yeah.
shoes instead of just throwing it all in one box. If we did that, we could probably send it in 3 boxes.
Mm.
But I wanted to keep all the shoes. I had to play Tetris trying to get as much boxes in that one big box.
Hmm.
But yeah, so the mission goes on, man, and I'm continuously doing this. And if I gotta still spend my own money, I still do it. Destiny Forever, that's misunderstood because a lot of people think if you buy a Destiny Forever bracelet, you contribute to the mission. It's yes and no. I don't want to. I can't advertise it like that because I'm not a nonprofit organization.
Hmm.
So I have to be honest that hey, what purchases you make of Destiny Forever will support me.
Hmm.
Sometimes I get a massage. Sometimes me and Sarah go eat good food. But most of the times, a lot of the money is going to the mission. So yes, it is the fact that if you support in a roundabout way, you support the company, you're supporting the missions. But
Definitely. Yeah.
it's not a nonprofit organization. So I choose to use the money that I make for
Yeah.
that. So just to have an outlet of people that want to donate. Instead of buying a bracelet, I set up a foundation, Enson Inoue Foundation, that they can actually make donations there. And it's a
Hmm.
it's a legit foundation where you can use it. I forget what the name of the foundations are, but the ones you can use tax deductible. If we send them a letter, you can deduct tax out of it. So it's a
Right.
proper nonprofit organization.
Hmm.
So it's crazy because the money trickles in, and even the last mission we did with the shoes, it was like $2,300.
Nice.
I spent my money with it, but I had enough money in the foundation to reimburse myself for it.
Right.
So
Nice.
the people that are donating, I mean, I got customers that come in and they say the bracelet's $230. They want to pay 300, and I'm like, no, that's too much. It was, and then the trick to them to make me take the money is donate it to the mission. I'm like, oh fuck,
Right.
okay. So
Yeah.
I get a lot of people doing that. So
That's really
it
cool.
accumulates. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I got people coming in. Like I had a lady, Joey. I was real close with her husband. She comes in to buy bracelets, and then she shows me a $200 check for the mission. I got
Awesome.
great people around me, people supporting me. So
Yeah.
that cool. That I mean, like I
That's
said,
really cool.
the missions will continue to the day I die.
Yeah, man. I think your MMA career, right? Is there's so many like inspiring moments, whether it's the Randy Couture fight, whether it's the Igor fight, but really, I think this is one of the defining moments of your life, right? You were in a situation where you really wanted to help, and you went out, you did it, you actually like put boots to asses and went out there and really made an impact and really helped people, and it's just incredible, man. And I think I kind of wanted to get your take as well. This is totally a little bit off topic, but in your book, you said when 9/11 happened, you really felt like you wanted to almost, join the army, right? And then the tsunami happens, you do this. With the situation going on with Ukraine, and a lot of your fans are Ukrainian, right? I mean, do you have any strong thoughts on that?
Well, I do have a thought in a way that we don't have all the insides on it. We don't know what Ukraine has done to Russia, what Russia has done to Ukraine. We just seeing what is, the hard part is about is it's hard to believe the news nowadays.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
There's rumors that there are Ukrainians that are taking pictures of people purposely just pretending like they're bleeding so they can put it to the media. That there's that type of rumors. I mean, I basically feel that Putin is probably a little bit of a tyrant and trying to take over another country, and I do feel for the Ukrainian people. But honestly, I don't know the whole thing behind those two countries.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to get a real strong stance, and it's really hard to get passionate about it and feel like, fuck, I wish I could do something, So I feel for the Ukrainian people. I mean, especially, Igor Vovchanchi, one of my opponents. I hear he's up there fighting right now.
Yeah, I think one of your big fans, Old School Combat, who runs that page, I think he mentioned something, didn't he? That Igor is out there like on the front line. So
that kind of hit me like, holy shit, Igor.
Yeah,
and to think that Russia will eventually overpower Ukraine, he's going to die. I almost feel that like, holy crap! I mean, he's a big part of my life, Igor, and I would like to meet him and even talk to him again and somehow someday see him. And if this thing doesn't turn out right, I might not ever see him again. And for me, it's a little hard to wrap my head around it. And to see some of the videos, of course, what's exaggerated, what's not, I don't know. But to see some of the videos of what's happening there, it's like, wow, it's crazy. And then there brings that fear of, wow, will this escalate to a world war now, which is possible. So I don't know. It's hard.
I don't think it will get that far. I think reason will prevail in this day and age. But
I hope so.
Yeah. So thoughts and prayers to everyone that's struggling with it, because it's a tough situation right now for everyone out there, So, but yeah, I mean, you've got fans from all over the world, right? You got fans in Russia, you got fans in Ukraine. So,
Yeah, I got fans in Ukraine saying, when I posted that thing about I didn't agree with the war, I had fans from Ukraine saying thank you, and I actually had a couple fans from Russia saying, you don't even know what the fuck's happening. Shut them out. Like Ukraine is bad. And it's like, whoa. So that's what made me think, like, holy shit. There's actually two sides of the story.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is there was a Russian girl that I'm in contact with on Instagram, and she actually like randomly contacted me on Instagram about finding her father, because I think she was a child that was out of marriage, and so the guy who made the trip to Russia impregnated her mother and left, and it kept it a secret from his wife in Japan. Wow. So, but apparently she kept contact with her father, and all of a sudden it just cut the contact. She would write letters, he would write letters back, and it just cut. So she was worried that he passed away because he's an elder man. And it was weird because when you post in Instagram, you can post where you are, and my town is called Iwatsky. And I guess she started reaching out to all the people in Iwatsky, long shot, but she tried, and she said, hey, I see you live in Iwatsky. I'm looking for my father. And I thought it was a prank. I was saying, what the hell is this? So I kind of answered her and said, do you know his address? She gave me the address, and I put it in Google Maps, and like, holy shit, literally like a 5-minute walk from my house. So she gave me the name, and I told Sarah, oh, this is weird. Let's go check it out. We went there, and I had goosebumps because when we walked up the driveway to look at the mailbox, there was a name on the mailbox that she gave me.
But the same name that she said.
Same name. And I was like, holy shit, Sarah, this is real. So by every chance, she wanted me to go talk to him and stuff. And I'm like, with all the tattoos and all this, he's going to freak out. And what if his wife answers the door? What am I going to say?
Yeah.
So I told her, you know what? I'm going to just keep driving by there and seeing if I can catch a view of him. So it was one day we were driving by there, and there was an old man out over the fence looking down at children, talking to the children walking home from school. So Sarah and I ran a video on it and videoed him, and got a pretty clear video, and sent it to her. And she was like, "Oh shit, thank you. That's him. He's okay." And it was kind of cool because I thought she was going to ask me, "I'll talk to him, tell him about me," but she backed off and said, "You know what? Thank you."
Wow.
But to bring the reason why I'm bringing this story up is because I'm in contact with her. I kept contact with her, saying hello and everything. She just had a child. She mentioned to me, like, I wish my father would be able to see his grandchild. And not asking me to do anything. She messaged me 2 days ago, telling me about, we don't know why we're not at fault. Why are we being hurt by this? She's in Russia now. She doesn't agree with the war.
Sanctions. Yeah.
Yeah. She's saying, why are we being punished? Why me, my children, my family, we didn't do anything. Why are we being punished? And she even wrote to me that Instagram and everything is probably going to be shut down. So she gave me her email saying that if we shut down, we can keep in touch.
Yeah.
And then after that, the next sentence she wrote, it just kind of sank my heart. She said, I've already actually lost hope. So please give my best to your loved ones and your family. Yeah. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. Hopefully she's all right.
Yeah. I don't know, man. So I'm trying to keep in touch with her, but it's crazy, man. So, like they show on the news sometimes where there's protests, like over a couple thousand people got arrested because they're protesting.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Right.
There's a lot of Russia that doesn't, we kind of look at it as a country stereotyping, like, oh, Russians, oh, they're no good now, but there's a lot of Russians that don't agree with what Putin's doing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it, right? And there's probably a lot that don't agree with it, but maybe they can't speak up against it because of like.
I don't think they can. I honestly don't think they can. It's almost like China. Like
different
Thailand.
World, right?
Like Thailand. If you speak against the king, you can get jailed.
Oh, I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a guy that wrote a little book on Thailand, just not talking shit, but just telling the truth about Thailand. Like how the king's house is pretty much made of gold, some part of it, but there's so much poverty. But then there's also a point that he's built a lot of hospitals for the poor. So there's good and bad, good and bad, good and bad. And his book wasn't like a big seller, wasn't popular. It was like a little self-published book that maybe sold about 20 copies. Somehow the authorities got hold of that. He was put in jail for that.
Fuck.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's countries like that. So I'm pretty sure Russia is probably like that too. Yeah. So, I see people here in Hawaii and America, complaining about the mask mandate, how we're losing our freedom and you can't tell us what to do and that kind of shit. Oh my God, open your eyes. Look what's happening in the real world, man. You think your shit is a problem. It's nothing compared to what some of these people in Russia, China go through. Yeah. So
yeah, definitely.
It's crazy.
Definitely. But yeah, man. Well, 11 years is crazy to think that just happened. We've had so many big world events that keep happening, and that was a huge one that happened 11 years ago. So, but yeah, I mean, I really hope the missions continue. I hope to one day, help participate in one as well, because I think that would be an amazing experience. But for everyone that does want to get involved, donate to the Enson Inoue Foundation, help out wherever you can, and keep posted on all the social media channels, and we'll probably do something again like this in the future. All right. Thanks, everyone.